we do have one more little segment before we sign off today. Ben thought it would be a really fun idea to share some phrases with me that are very common in Australian speak, but not necessarily so common in American speech. So, Ben, what do you
Yes.
have for me?
Okay, so this is spawned off one of the little tropes of mine and Greg's relationship over our years is that one of us will just start talking about something normal and the other one will be like, "What are you talking about?" And we'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's weird." Even though we both live in incredibly westernized countries, there's so many things that are Australian that aren't American and vice versa. So one of the best dynamics of our friendship is being able to be like explain to each other these certain weird little things that are just normal to us but aren't to the other person. So the other day we were talking, and I think often I'll just throw in some little Australianisms in my speech, which I've probably already used in this episode, that Greg will have to be like, "Wait, what do you mean?" And I'll have to explain it. So one of the things that I wanted to do is to give Greg, some Australian lingo or slang that he has to try and guess what on earth it means, because there's a couple of like Tumblr posts and things like that where it's literally, because I'm in it and I'm Australian, I don't think anything of it, but when you look at a paragraph of Australian slang, it is literally just like, what the fuck are they talking about? So, as this is our closing segment, I've come up with an awful name for this. This segment will be called Dingo Lingo for our Australian slang guessing. So, to preface this segment, one thing that is different about Australian language than American is that in America, you guys have different variations of an American accent. There's like the Boston, the New York accent, and like the LA accent that's like this, and like the central, like the redneck accent as well, the Southern American accent.
America.
Australia, yeah, Australia, we pretty much just have one accent, but it's depending on how intensely that's turned up. So
Yeah.
I I have a pretty standard Australian accent, but I've been told as well that I even have sort of an Americanized Australian accent where I even have a little bit of an American tinge to the way I pronounce some words. Um, Before we start, go ahead.
Oh, I wanted to bring up that you and Kane actually have very different sounding Australian accents, but you guys
Yeah.
have that. You guys have that similarity, but you guys also have those crazy differences in your accents.
Well, so Kane is originally from New Zealand, so he has a little bit of
Oh,
a New
really?
Zealand twang on his accent. That's where the difference comes from there.
Awesome.
But the so with my talking about depending on the intensity of the Australian accent, my first word for you. Do you know what a bogan is?
A what?
A bogan.
A bogey?
A bogan. Bogan.
A bogan. I'm sorry, I got people in my ears. A bogan.
If
I
I was
feel
to
like
ask you
I feel like a bogan is an Australian term for an oar that you use to paddle your boat.
That's fantastic. So a bogan is pretty much the Australian version of a redneck, okay? They're like
Oh,
they're like an unsophisticated like person like that that gives like a poor representation of what Australians are like. So the
oh my
Australian
goodness.
accent.
We have tons of bogans over here.
Yeah, the Australian accent really, the intensity comes from how much of a bogan you are. So I like to think of myself as being not a bogan, which is where the sort of American twang comes from in my accent. But if I was to talk like a fucking bogan, I'd probably just really amp up my Australian accent,
I,
sound like fucking Crocodile Dundee.
I was gonna say I think what you're describing is how Steve Irwin talked.
Yeah, correct. So yeah, that sort of accent is really
Okay.
the bogan. So that's our introduction into a lot of these words. So all of these phrases are very bogan phrases. So I'll still use some of them in my day-to-day speech, me and my friends, and but they're not the way I always talk. So I'd just like to preface that before saying that. One little starter, one basic Australianism that's very bizarre and confusing is that yeah nah. If ever I say yeah nah, like yes no, yeah nah in a conversation, that means no. If I flip that and say, nah, yeah, that means yes. So it's very confusing and backwards, but if you were to ask me, oh, do you want to go out today? I'd be like, yeah, nah, not today. Or I'd be like, no, yeah, I could go out today. It's very backwards and confusing, but that's a
When we
little
actually
Australianism as well.
when we actually met the first time a few years ago, it helped. It took me a little while to understand that when Australians mean like "excuse me" or like "what did you say," you normally respond. You usually say like "hey," like "hey,"
Yeah.
like "hey," like
Hey,
"what did you say?" or
yeah,
"excuse me." Can you repeat yourself?
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
that's one I
yeah.
definitely picked up on very early. I'm like, what is he? Okay, that's what "hey" means.
Yeah. Okay, so we've done our yeah, nah, yeah, and bogan. What would you say a bludger is? Bludger,
Well,
yeah.
when I hear bludger, I think of something you use to hit another person with.
Yeah, so that I think that's like part of the Quidditch lingo in Harry Potter that a bludger is one of the balls or the bats or something.
That's where I got it from.
There's yeah. So not quite right. I'll give you one more guess. This can also be used as a verb. So I could be bludging. A bludger could be bludging.
I feel like a bludger is the name for someone who's had too much alcohol for their evening.
Oh, good guess. That there is lots of alcohol and cigarette themed things riddled through these phrases, but unfortunately, bludging's not one of them. A bludger is someone who is slacking off, which might be another phrase in itself, or being lazy. So someone who just kind of goes around, they're just bludging, they're not really doing anything. That's
I
that.
see
That's
that.
our bludger. So the next one, now this is very Australian and very bogan. What would you say if I told you that I had spit the dummy?
Spit the dummy sounds like you just screwed up or like you're late or something like that.
Close, close. I've actually got a few alternatives for this one that all mean pretty much the same thing. So, spit the dummy also means the same as chucking a wobbly and cracking the shits.
Oh, like I fucked up big. Like I totally what is the phrase again?
So there's spitting the dummy, chucking a wobbly, or cracking the shits.
Oh, I think it's similar to like, oh, this totally I totally shit the bed on that, or like something like that.
Nearly. It's actually more for throwing a tantrum or getting angry about something. So like a baby would spit out their dummy when they're doing something if they're like crying or throwing a tantrum. So that's where that one comes from.
All right.
Now, this next one is a thing that has just become ingrained into Australian culture that I just am embarrassed to be an Australian because of this. Me being someone as well who is straight edge and doesn't drink. This one, to give you a little bit of a hint, do you know what a shoey is?
No.
A shoey, I don't know where it came from, but to the point where, well, before the pandemic, when bands and shows would actually come around to places, what a revolutionary concept. Um, Bands on stage, the crowd will start chanting at them to do a shoey, and a lot of American bands are like, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?" A shoey is when you fill up one of your shoes or someone's random dirty shoe with beer or alcohol and fucking scull it and drink out of the shoe, which is gross and disgusting. But
Yeah.
it has just become a staple of shows and concerts that they fucking force the poor people on stage to drink out of a shoe because we're so cultured in Australia.
A shoey sounds like something an American alcoholic would do after having several drinks. I know you're straight edge, but
I'm,
just a heads up, Ben, people do dumb shit when they drink. And I'm pretty
I'm
sure a shoey is something that has definitely been created during drinking.
I'm sure that was the origins of the shoey. I just hate that it's become an Australian thing. Like it's that everyone's so proud of it. We're the country that drinks out of shoes. Like, oh, okay. A couple of quickfire ones. What would you say that a brolly is?
A brolly?
Yeah,
A brolly sounds like something you use to clean your kitchen counters.
brolly is an umbrella.
Simple enough.
That,
I feel
yeah,
like I should have figured that out. I went more in the
that,
direction of Brillo than Brolly.
yeah. Okay, fair. What would you say if I told you that something had carked it?
Cocked it like
Like, sorry, CARK. So carked it.
Carked it.
Carked it. Yeah, to say it American. Carked it.
Cacked it, as they say in the Boston accent. Cacked it. I don't know.
If I was driving along in my car and it broke down, I'd be like, oh fuck, it's bloody carked it. Carked it means to die or stop functioning.
Oh, shit the bed. That was my last answer.
Yeah. Okay, this is an interesting one. What would I be asking you to do if I asked you to chuck a Yui?
Is chuck a Yui mean like take a U-turn in your car?
Yes, nailed it.
Yes,
Well
because
done.
that's what we say bang a Yui in Boston.
Okay, there we go. Yeah,
Like,
that's a very
bang a Yui right here.
yeah, nice. Okay, what would budgie smugglers be?
Budgie smugglers are people who steal money secretly.
Not quite.
Like
Budgie smugglers come in pairs. You could have a pair of budgie smugglers.
is it something physically, or is it something that could be described to or used to describe a human? Like,
No,
could a
you could
person
hold
be
a pair of budgie.
Oh, you have
You could hold a pair of budgie smugglers.
budgie smugglers. Well, you got budgie, which like budge, like you want something to budge. But smuggle means like to do something secretly. So you're secretly opening a jar of pickles without everybody knowing.
It's so much more ridiculous than that. Budgie smugglers are swimming trunks, right? You are smuggling your budgie, which is like the real small pairs of swimming trunks that you would wear.
Okay, so wait, what does budgie mean?
Budgie refers to the male parts that you would be smuggling because
There
it
we
is so
go. Okay.
across. Yeah. So that also called a speedo, or yeah, budgie smugglers is the slang term for it.
Are we talking like the real tight European style of swimwear?
Yeah, like a female bikini bottom, but that a man would wear.
Alrighty.
All right, we've got a couple more left, and then I've got.
So you would say like your classic wrestling attire are budgie smugglers?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. All right, I've got a couple more before we finish on a bit of a bang. What would you do if I asked you to fang it or send it?
Fang it or what?
If I told you just fang it, just send it.
Is that like just finish up, like hurry up, or
Ooh, close.
or like finish your job and get out of here?
Nearly. So send it is sort of a newer one, but fang it is a classic Australian one, which is pretty much.
I've heard send it recently.
Yeah, it's pretty much either said while driving, like if you fang it in the car, you just speed up and like speed somewhere, or it could also be used if you were like hitting something or throwing something. Just fucking send it, just fang it, or something like that. Oops, I just fanged something off the table as we speak.
I was just about to say that.
All right, this is a fantastic one. If I told you that I wasn't here to fuck spiders, what would I be telling you?
Like, I'm not here to mess around. I'm here to do a job.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't know
I'm
why
not here
that
to
became
waste my time.
exactly like
Yeah.
someone would be like, "Oh, so what are you doing?" Well, I'm not here to fuck spiders. Let's get on with it.
Oh, I want to start using that now, but I'm not at work.
Yeah, that would get you some weird looks. All right. The last one I've got is this is a pretty self-explanatory one, but one that is said lots in Australian language is no wuckin' furries.
Furries. No fucking way.
Oh, so close.
Oh my god. What does it mean?
No wuckin' furries is just no fucking worries.
Oh my god.
No worries, no wuckin' furries. It's just what that's turned into.
Oh, that's
All right.
brilliant.
Now, okay, I've got two things to finish up this segment with. One, to any American viewers who have watched up until this point, I apologize going forth.
I know where this is going.
One of the biggest divides in Australian language, and not just American, but pretty much the rest of the world, is our liberal use of the word cunt. Now, cunt is something that is just it's so overly and liberally used in Australia that it's just how we talk. But whenever you're overseas as an Australian and you drop a C bomb, Americans, did he just say? Did he just drop a C bomb? Did he just cuss and say cunt? And it's
5 minutes into me meeting Kane.
yeah. So when Greg met Kane and I, it was just like, oh, so yeah, you guys say cunt a lot, don't you? But now, to break down the intricacies of our use of the word cunt, pretty much in Australian language, cunt is, again, it's kind of like the yeah, nah, sort of backwards. If I was to go up to one of my best friends and be like, g'day, cunt, cunt really means mate. I would use that as in like, oh, hey, friend, hey, cunt. But if I said mate to someone, I'd be like getting serious. Like, I'd actually mean that they were a cunt. I'd be like, mate, fucking watch it. So you can use those two backwards. But variations of cunts. So it can be used both positively and negatively. I'll start with the positive. Number one, starting here, you can be a good cunt. If you say someone's a good cunt, they're just like, they're a good person. Like, they got your back. The next level up from that is if you're a mad cunt. If you're a mad cunt, you're like fucking sick. You're like, you're really cool. You're like, you're on the edge a little bit. You're a mad cunt. The top tier of cuntage is if you are a sick cunt. If you're a sick cunt, you are like, yeah, very much that. The top tier of all cunts. You are the sickest of cunts. Now, to flip that on the negative side, if you are a shit cunt is something you do not want to be. That's like a dodgy person that's just like, they're not treating you well. You're a shit cunt. But below that, perhaps the pinnacle of the lowest thing you could be called in Australian lingo is a dog cunt. If you're a dog cunt, you are just like the slackest person. You're betraying people. You don't want to be a dog cunt. A dog cunt is the worst.
That sounds like what every American's interpretation of it is. Like it's at the point where I can't even say the word.
yeah, because it rips through everything in its path. But that's why we use it. It's fantastic. I love the use of the word cunt. But all right, so to finish up our what did I call it? Our Dingo Lingo segment.
I feel like this should just be a YouTube show.
Yeah. I've compiled a sentence which is perhaps the most Australian sentence in existence. I've pulled bits and pieces of this from different sites, but I've put a little bit of my own stuff in it. So just get what you can from this. I might even copy paste this and send it in the chat so you can read along and see what you can make of it.
Yeah, let's do that.
So there we go. All right. So for our viewers at home, I'll even put on a little bit of a Bogan accent for you for this as well. Fucking oath, it was a scorcher the other day, and me mate Bazza were driving in the ute out to Whoop Whoop when some flamin' galah cut us off in some dodgy Holden commo. He got out and he was wearing nothing but tracky dacks and thongs. What Adero. We got out and had a bit of a blue, or a bit of a dust-up, if you will, but we talked it out over a slab of tinnies we picked up from the bottle-o nearby. We got fucking Maggot. We're going on a Macca's run soon, and maybe we'll stop at the servo for some durries on the way home. Reckon it'll go off like a frog in a sock.
What the fuck?
And that, my friends, is Australian.
Oh my, I don't even know where to start. All right, so let me read this back for our viewers. Fucking oath. It was a scorcher the other day, and me and my mate Bazza were driving in the ute out to Whoop Whoop. Okay, that makes me think it was hot the other day, and me and my friend took a drive out to I don't know, the beach. You guys spend a lot of time at the beach, yeah?
Yes, this is true, but let me stop you there. Coming back to the name of my friend Bazza, Bazza is short for Barry. So pretty much anything that can be shortened in a name, we will do. Like you might even be Gazza as a short or a nickname for Greg.
Can you call me Gazza or Grazza from now on? Did you freeze? Did I lose you?
All right, how's that?
I think
Are we
you're
back?
Yeah.
All We could say that my internet just cocked it.
So where were we?
We were just explaining whoop whoop, which is the middle of nowhere or just very far away.
Okay. And then
But yes, proceed in your critical analysis.
when some flamin' gala cut us off in some dodgy Holden commo. That sounds like some douchebag cut us off in a piece of shit Camry.
Pretty much. So a flamin' galah is an insult from the Australian soap opera Home and Away, which is very famous overseas. I think it's famous in America and in England as well. As this a galah is a type of Australian bird, and it's one of the characters uses that as his go-to insult, a flamin' galah. In some dodgy Holden commo, Holden being an Australian car manufacturer and Como being short for Commodore, which is the brand of cars. So pretty much a Camry, the equivalent of a Toyota Camry to a Holden Commodore.
Here's the thing, though. Toyota Camrys last forever.
Dude, I drive a Toyota Camry, and it's fucking so good. That's a lie. It's very much not good, but it's reliable at the least.
All right, so next we have, he got out and was wearing nothing but tracky dacks and thongs. Now, is
what a tracky dacks?
A thong the same thing as the term we were talking about earlier, the something smuggler, the plum smuggler, or whatever it was?
Not quite. Thongs are very different in Australia than they are in America.
Okay. So let's start at tracky dacks. What are tracky dacks?
Tracky dacks, the term tracky dack comes from tracksuit pants, which is like sweatpants for you guys.
Okay, so what does thong mean? Wait. I feel like I know what thong means.
This is a pretty common one that's like, because Americans think when we talk about thongs, they're like, what?
Yeah, because
I could say I went to the beach and everybody was wearing thongs.
Okay, what does it mean?
Thongs are flip-flops.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because like the same sort of shape, the thong shape, but on your foot rather than...
Yeah, it goes in between your toes instead of your bum.
Exactly, and we refer to your thongs as just G-strings.
Next we have is what Adero. We got out and had a bit of a blue or a bit of a dust-up, if you will, but talked it out over a slab of tinnies we picked up at a bottle nearby. That sounds like things got heated, but we grabbed a drink together and figured things out. Yeah,
so let's start with Dero. A Dero is derived from the term derelict, so pretty much just a low life citizen or a low class citizen is a Dero.
Sure.
Probably not intelligent and things like that. But we got out and had a bit of a blue, got into a bit of a blue or a dust up just means fight. I think blue comes from like if you punch someone and you gave them a black eye or a bruise or a blue eye. And dust up, same thing. But we talked it out over a slab of tinnies. So tinnies are tin cans of beer, usually, your little just servings of beer. And a slab is like a case of them. So like a 20 pack or a 40 pack or whatever they come in. So slab of tinnies is a case of beer. And the bottle-o is the liquor store.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We got fucking Maggot. We're going on a Macus run and maybe stop at the servo for some durries on the way home.
Hearing this in an American accent is fantastic.
We got fucking Maggot means we got hammered.
Yeah. Okay. We got Maggot, we got blind, we got drunk.
Going on a Macus run and maybe stop the servos for some durries.
Just your use of the pronunciation of the S on Macus there, a Macus run.
Macus?
Macca's is
wait. Is Macca's McDonald's?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Macca's is.
Oh yeah.
And pretty much any surname that begins with Mick, like McDonald or McCarthy, or even Kane and Luke's last name, McChesney, that can be shortened to Macca as a nickname. So McDonald's has been shortened to like possessive Maccas. That's why I thought it was funny that you're like Maccas.
Do you want to know what my nickname for McDonald's is?
What?
McDicks.
McDick's is also great. I like McDick's.
Macus Run, maybe stop at the servo for some durries on the way home. Servo. Durries. Well, here's the thing. A servo and durries can't be like a bar and beer because we're already Maggot at this point.
We already went to the bottle-o and got our slabatinis.
Yeah, we're already, yeah. So durries on the way home. Yeah, I got nothing. I have absolutely nothing. My brain is fried.
So, durries are cigarettes.
Okay.
They can also be darts, or yeah, that's just a stupid word for cigarettes.
Is the
servo
is like the corner store or something like that?
Pretty much. Servo is short for service station, so like gas station. So like 7-Eleven or somewhere like that would be called the servo.
I'm gonna start talking like this and confusing everybody.
And what's that last one? Give us that
the last one is reckon it'll go off like a frog in a sock. I reckon it'll go well, like off like a frog in a sock. Because I'm imagining a frog in a sock now, and it sounds hilarious.
It pretty much means, as you said, it just means to go fantastically. So like it would be like a rager, like a big exciting thing. Like if you put a frog in a sock, it'd be going off.
Fucking that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that is the Australian language.
That was delightful. If you already didn't know my language, I would, tell you some more stuff, but
yeah, it's unfair because of how much American culture that we get exposed to.
Seriously. Ben, do you have any final thoughts or comments or questions to share with us before we sign off for today?
I don't really. I think that was a really fun chat. We've been chatting for nearly 3 hours, and that just flew by. It was a great way to document all of our memories together and our love of collecting and wrestling. And yeah, that was a really fun time.
Hell yeah, man. I cannot wait to do one of these again. We will get you back.
Yeah. I can't wait till I'm back on to do that episode with Henry.
That being said, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe. If you're still here, God bless you. Thank you. Thanks again to Ben for being on the show. Finally, I don't want to be doing this forever. I want to get back to work. So stay safe, stay home. If you go out, wear a mask, believe in science. Ben, do you want to tell a quick story about 2 Australians who didn't believe in science?
Oh, so 2 fucking drongo flamin' galahs. So down here in Australia, we've actually had a pretty good lock on COVID for the most part, particularly in my state. So a few of the other states had a pretty heavy lockdown down in South Australia and Victoria. But in New South Wales and in Sydney, we got a pretty good handle on it. We kind of around March and April, when the rest of the world kicked off, same with us, we went into lockdown and we're in it for a little while, but everyone pretty much wore their masks and did their thing, and we were pretty much out and about again relatively quickly after that. So I think probably by July or August, we still had all the social distancing in place and people would still wear masks, but it was much of a lesser thing. Everyone pretty much went back to normal, and that's kind of how it's been for the last couple of months. But now, like, we still have to go and sign into a cafe if we went there, but it's pretty much business as usual. However, in my sort of couple of suburbs or district, if you like, of Sydney, the Northern Beaches, we had this lovely couple who went into a suburb just a couple of minutes up the road from me, and they went and got a COVID test, because COVID tests have still been a thing. Like, you still have to go get checked if you have symptoms. And the rule is, which is a very smart rule, that if you think you have COVID and you go get a test, you then wait until you get the result of that test back before you go out and do things, in case you do have COVID. This couple got their test, and not only did they not go home and isolate and wait for their results, they went to about every fucking thing they could do in their suburb. They went to a cafe and to the supermarket, and they went and got massages, and all this stuff. And then it turned out, oh, we do actually have COVID. We're one of the few positive cases that have come out of this area. And by the time that got realized, my whole fucking area is back in lockdown. So literally, I finished work for the year on the 17th of December. That night, it got announced that everything was locked down. And so all through Christmas, New Year's, I'm stuck at home in my little zone, thanks to these two flaming galahs.
That being said, don't be a flaming galah. Like, don't be a dick. Just support each other.
Don't be a dog cunt.
Don't be a dog cunt. That being said, thank you again for watching. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.